busted, do it, okay? So I'm going to call this parallel lines involving triangles and parallelograms. There you go, that worked. So this is the title. That's what I'm going to put on the video as well. So parallel lines involving triangles and parallelograms. So far all we did is a couple of parallel lines and a transversal. Now you're going to start seeing shapes inside. You're going to see a triangle, a parallelogram, you name it. Okay. So let's do this one first because this you should recognize. If you have a triangle, okay, and the angles are as follows: 2x, x minus 2, and 2x minus 3. And we label these A, B, and C. And this question would say, determine the value of the interior angles. Would it be better if I had it a little bit higher, projected a little bit higher, like a foot higher? Maybe the back row would appreciate that. I'm trying to play around with my, especially now with the new seating arrangement, I find that there's a lot of heads in front of you. Anyways, so if you have a question like that, the first step is to find what x is. So yes, you need to find out what x is, but most importantly, how are these angles related? What do I know about these angles? So yesterday you would have done, oh, these are corresponding. So these two expressions are equal to each other. And in this case, these three angles, right? Sum of the interior angles is 180. That's how I'm going to reference to it. It's like I know that all interior angles add up to 180. So it's like, okay, all angles are given in forms of an expression. So I'm just going to say, well, if I add angle A, which is 2x, and I add angle B, which is x minus 2, and I add the third angle, C, which is 2x minus 3, that should add up to 180 degrees. So you first recognize, wait a minute, I know something about these angles. They all should add up to 180. And so now it's just a matter of solving for x, right? So we have, and because they all have a positive in front, you can actually just rewrite it without the brackets in front. Okay. If there had been a negative, you have to first distribute out the negative, right? And so we add up all of the x's. So we've got 2, 3, 5. So it's 5x. And we have -2 and -3. That adds up to -5. And that is equal to 180. And then next would be 5x. I'm bringing the -5 over, and it comes over adding. For the most part, that was done very well on the test. A lot of you made sure you didn't drop that negative. And so right? We divide out and x ends up being 37 degrees. We don't circle it, we just underline it like that because it's important to us. Now that we know what x is, every single expression has actually an x in it, so we can figure out what they are. Angle A is 2 times x. Angle B is 37 degrees minus 2. And angle C is 2 times 37 minus 3. So I just plug that into every single expression, and that will give me the angle. All right, so this is 74. This is 35. And this is 74 minus 371. So this is what the question was really asking for. Okay. So B, so we have to do a little bit of a diagram here. So start with a top line like this. And then we're going to come across like this. Like that. Sorry, I'm going to move it up a bit. So this is how it looks. Should have used a ruler. So we know, or this has a letter lowercase a in it. This has lowercase b, lowercase c. There are arrowheads on the ends of those sides. And we are told that this is 108. And most importantly, we're told that this line is parallel to that line. And so in no particular order, you're asked to find out what the missing angles are. And you are asked to find an explanation, to explain why you came up with that. So I'm going to, based on what I'm seeing here, I'm going to find the one that's right next to it. So this is the first angle I'm finding, is angle B is going to be equal to 180 minus 108. And that is 72. And why did I make that conclusion? I'm running out of room here. But just you can just say straight angle or supplementary. That's up to you. Straight angle. So I'm talking about this one here, right? There's a straight line here. And if this is 108, you know that this on the other side has to be supplementary to it. Okay, so the second angle I'm going to find is C. Angle C is equal to, how are these two related? Do you know what they're called? A bit louder. Vertically opposite, right? Vertically opposite. Yeah, there we go. So we know that C is going to be the same as 108. So just go 108. Vertically opposite. That's all you need to do. Vertically opposite. Because we know that vertically opposite, it doesn't even matter if these lines are parallel. If they're like this, if they're vertically opposite, they're going to be the same. Now A, that's going to be the third angle I'm finding. You have options here. You just have to have a name for the two you're going to use. So what are B and A? They're corresponding, right? Do you see that? It's harder to see because you don't have the line going, but really this one corresponds to this one. It's a copy of it. Okay, so angle A is equal to angle B, which is equal to 72 degrees corresponding. Watch, I'm just going to do angles like that. You can tell that I'm not an English teacher, right? Just symbols are fine with me, corresponding angles, but you're showing your thinking here. Or you could have done this. Angle A is 180 minus, what are C and A? What do we call them? Consecutive interior, right? And they are supplementary, right? So you better get the same answer. So it's 180 minus angle C, which is 180 minus, I determined that C was 108. And that is 72 degrees. And consecutive interior, will that fit here? I will make that work. Consecutive interior angles. So that's, if you want to write a bit more, right, that's okay, but usually you won't have a whole lot of space to do that, but it's your explanation, right? So make sure you do that when I ask you to explain to get the full marks. Because a lot of students know how to fill in the numbers, but when it comes to explaining, it's like, right? Leave it. Let's just move on, right? I don't want you to do that. So we're going to do more and more of this kind of stuff, okay? Let's start with another example here. So I'm going to, let's do this. Let's make two parallel lines. One there, one a bit lower. And we're going to have a line crossing here, like so. Another one across here. So it looks like a parallelogram inside. And then we're going to split this. Like, I'm going to do it like this. So we're going to have a diagonal go right across like that. Let's have we're going to make this 50. Is going to be 24. And then we're going to have this as 1 second here. I'm going to make this X. I'm going to make that Y. This is going to be 95 in this corner here. So we're going to make this Z here. We're going to make this in here M. And this one is going to be N right there. We are only going to be told, we're going to be guaranteed that this line is parallel to that line. But we're not guaranteed that the vertical, like these ones here, we're not guaranteed that those are parallel. We're only guaranteed that the top and bottom are. So in this case, I don't care which way you go as long as you tell me the order in which you solve for. Okay, so for example, you might want to solve for M first because I have a triangle in here. You see that? So my first angle is going to be M, and that's 180 minus 24 minus 95. And the diagrams won't make sense, right? Unless they're not drawn to scale. So that is 61 degrees. And this is what you can say. You used sum of triangle is equal to 180. That's what you've used there. It's the first one you did. And then the second one, you choose, right? What are these two here? Alternate something. Because whenever it's across the transversal, it's alternate interior. Got it? Because you have like the sandwich right here. So Z is equal to 95, and that's because of alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay. So that one is taken care of. Third angle I'm going to find. What do we know about Z, M, and N? They all touch this straight line. So this is 180, right? It's split into 3 angles. We know, I encourage you to do that, right? Like you can write in, I would use a different color because you've solved for it. We know 95, we know that this is 61. So we can find N by using the straight angle property. Okay, so I'm going to find N is going to be 180 minus M minus Z. So I'm actually going to use the letters first, and then I'm going to solve. That's 24. Ah, doesn't that look like a different angle we have here? Yes, it does, right? And this is where it's going to be frustrating. Okay, I'm going to just finish this straight angle. Okay, I'm justifying. Here's where it's going to be frustrating. The more you solve, the more ways to get there you're going to get. You will be able to use different properties. So that's why it's important for me to tell me which order you do them in, so I can follow your train of thought, right? Okay, so we're done with all of these. Let's move over here. How would we solve? We need to solve for x and y. Y is probably the easiest one to do. So fourth, angle y is 180 minus 50. And that's just 130. and I just used straight angle. That one is going to save you, it's going to save you so much grief if you can just use it quickly, and boom, you come up with the answers. Last one, I'm going to find x. What I'm going to do is, what would this, I'm going to use a highlighter here. What do we call 50 and this whole thing here? What are these two angles? Alternate, right? This is your transversal. They're on opposite side of the transversal. It's alternate, interior. So we know that these ones are the same, right? So I'm going to say this. 50 is equal to x plus 24. Whoa, Mr. Erickson, what did you just do there? Well, I know that these two are alternate interior, right? And I know that they're congruent. Sorry, I should say that this whole thing, right? This whole thing. These two are alternate interior. It's just that this angle here that I highlighted is split up, right? But it's not a big deal. Just take the whole thing, and then all you need to do is say that x is going to be 50 minus 24. So x is going to be 26 degrees. Voila. Okay. So that's, we use triangles mixed in with parallel sides, and that's just how this goes. And because there are so many diagrams, I'm gonna go over now. I actually added notes to this, and the only problem is it's not necessarily in order. But if you go to page 18, and 19, let's go to 18 first. So in your notes, okay, write down more examples page 18 and 19. That's what I would do if I were you. If you want more examples, you got to go to page 18 and 19 in your booklet. That's how I'm going to continue with this. Got it? Okay. And before I do this one here, I want to jump straight to this here. Determine the values of A, B, C, and D. This is a parallelogram. Parallelogram. And why is that? Because you've got parallel sides here and parallel sides there. So if you do have a highlighter, I highly recommend. Right? Just so that it sticks out. Highlighters are going to be your friend, okay? I know for some of you it's like the sharks in Finding Nemo, right? You don't like highlighters, so you have to have your Highlighters are friends, not enemies, right? Some of you don't know what I'm talking about. That's okay. You gotta watch Finding Nemo. That's what that's saying. Angle A, if you want to start with that, no problem. So I'm going to tell myself that's the one I start. That's the number one. I want you to always put the number down next to the one you're solving first. And so A and 115, what are they called? Corresponding. So you kind of want to find a number and see, hey, what do I know about this that's across, right? They're corresponding. So I can just write down 115. And why is that? All you need to tell me is one of those four. Corresponding. Actually, I'm lying. It's not one of those four. There's the four that I talked about that are always true when lines are parallel, and then there's vertically opposite. There is sum of triangle, and there's the straight angle, right? You've got 7 for sure on your side there. So that's the first one. I'm going to go ahead and find B second. Okay. What are 115 and B? Do I have a name for them? Alternate exterior. That's what you were trying to say. Yeah, yeah. So whenever you are on opposite sides of the transversal, it's alternate. And then it's either exterior or interior, right? So we know that B, when lines are parallel, then the alternate exterior angles are also the same. I know this is somewhat dry, I know that. I'm trying to make it as fun as possible, I promise. But hold on, Mr. Dirksen, couldn't I have said that A and B are vertically opposite? Did anybody notice that? And the answer would have still been 115, wouldn't it? Right? So it's okay to do that. I'm just going my way, and for now you're following me, but soon I'm gonna let go, and you're gonna have to walk through this, right? And next is C. How would I do that? There are no, if you travel with this transversal, there are no numbers here. But these lines are parallel too, right? So this is a special case. You can actually transfer over this way, okay? So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to transfer this over to here and say that this is 115 because these are alternate interior angles. So I'm just showing the work. Like, why did I do this? Because these are alternate interior. And watch this. Now you're going to see it better. Let me just turn it once. Right? Right? These are alternate interior. This happens to now act as a transversal. We know that these two are parallel, so we can say these are the same. It's basically a copy of this over here. So with that carried over, I can continue this. So C and what are these two called? Consecutive interior, right? So I will go 180 minus 115. You have to subtract there. They're not equal, right? And this is sorry, not 75, right? Oh, sorry, yes. Maybe in a different planet, it's 75. So this consecutive interior angles. And if you find it a little bit frustrating, it's okay, but you can't just pull the plug and say, I'm not going to do this, right? This is just not my unit. You got to keep working at it. You're going to get better at it. And I tell my students, I can only make so many diagrams, and then you kind of have seen them all. And then it's just like a little twist here and there. So this is my last one, D. It's right next to it. So I'm just going to say, hey, if I subtract 115 from 180, I get D again. So that's 65, straight angle. Oh, straight angles, yeah, sure. Straight angle. Now you solve them all. So this is a parallelogram is special in a way that you can transfer this. Okay, I will add that. You can transfer sideways. I hope this makes sense, right? And by what I mean this, you can transfer sideways by using corresponding angles. Like you could have made this 115 because these two technically correspond because they're parallel. You can never transfer sideways unless you know that they're parallel or there's a diagonal like this connecting them, then you can use triangles to get there. Okay. What are we at here? Okay. So I'm going to skip this bottom part here as well for now. We did this kind of stuff yesterday and they're fun. I'm going to come back to them, but I want to focus a little bit more on triangles and parallelograms. So let's flip over to 19. And let's do this one for now. Get cut off a little bit here. This is the one we're going to try. Determine the values of the indicated angles. Explain. Dun, 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 right? No, right? But hey, you're gonna have to do it anyways. So I don't have a whole lot of room to write a lot of, but you should notice the triangles. Sorry, you can see that, right? There. Notice the triangles, right? Notice parallel lines, right? Notice triangles, notice parallel lines. I'm going to actually highlight that, right? So you need to get creative. So let's try to do this. I'm going to highlight this fact that these two are parallel. We're told. Sometimes it will tell you in a little sentence. Sometimes they just have the markings there. So maybe this is the strategy I'm going to tell you first. Pay close attention. Do any of those triangles have enough information to use the sum of triangles is equal to 180? None of them do, right? Out the window for now. For now, just say, okay, for now, I can't use that. So there must be a way to use the fact that lines are parallel to answer, right? I need to get a number across somehow. So I sometimes like to use the Z rule. So let's say I'm focusing on this 53. This is a parallel line to this. So it connects, right? Let's just focus on that one for now. And make a Z like that, right? Is 53 somehow, do I have a name for 53 and C maybe? You think I have a name for it? Richard, are you saying something? I just hear muffled. Okay, this is what? This is a transversal, right? They are on opposite side of the transversal. And this orange line is connecting the parallel lines. So this 53 goes over and there is a name for these two, and it's alternate interior. So the first angle I'm going to solve for is angle C, and it's 53 because alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay? Did you catch that? Don't think of whatever you're doing after school, okay? Focus here now. Second question. Second one that I'm going to do. So I'm going to use my pen and I'm going to write in 53. Do I now have a triangle where I have enough information to use the sum of 180? No. You have two. So technically you could answer F now. So let's go for it. 180. I like to show the work always. So minus 44 minus 53. So you're subtracting the two you know from 180. And because these are your notes, I want to make sure I don't get this wrong. So that's 83. And I'm just going to say sum of triangles equal to 180. Third, so I found F. I'm going to write that in. I'm going to write in 83 here. So good. What are F and E? Somebody other than the two that always answer. F and E, what are they? They meet here. They are vertically opposite. Yes, there you go. You can do this. Vertically opposite. Are you still mad because I changed your seating? That's what it is. Okay. Vertically opposite. Number 4. So we've got that. What can I find D? It's touching the one I just found, right? I know 83. So do you see a straight line here? It's right next to each other, right? So angle D, once you find one, you just need to find one, and then it just all comes together, okay? So this is 97, and I will just say straight angle, okay? So D is done. I will write in a few because I haven't done this in a while. 83 and 97. Guess what, folks? You have a triangle here where you know two angles of, and you have a triangle here where you know two angles now. So it's all sum of triangles equal to 180 from now on. So that's 5. I'm going to go angle B is 180 minus 97 minus 38. I'll have an answer in a bit. 6. Angle A is 180 minus 53 minus 83. And you have 45. None of this is drawn to scale, so don't be like, that doesn't look like a 45. That's just what it is. And I will just do this. Sum of triangles equal to 180. Oh yeah, the clock is off, right? I have to watch that. Okay. Oh, you had so much fun, didn't you? You will not stop talking. Today, supper table, supplementary angles, complementary. 1 second. Homework. I will just check in my booklet, okay? Hold on. I will have this up again. These are not easy. So 16 and 17, that'll keep your head spinning for a while. Page 16 and 17. The key will be posted, okay? Okay, I see that my plate is pretty full already. So the video for the test is probably not going to show up until tomorrow, but the PDF is going to show up. And then the key for this is going to show up as well.